This meeting is being recorded. And I just said I was going to stop being crazy, and I'm not. That's really the reality of it. So tonight, I am so excited because we are going to hear from Sarah and Carrie and hear about their experience in the 645 test group. So I'm going to share my screen really quick and just show you a couple things as we kick off. One sec here. I'm going to make it big. This is just like our little reminder of what 645 is, just to give us a quick overview. 6 days a week, 45 minutes. Just wanted you guys to kind of know the basics because I'm not going to ask them this stuff. 13 weeks. So you think about it, it's going to be that full, a little over 3-month program. It's going to work you through different stages. They're going to describe a little bit of the workouts and kind of what it meant to them. But the 10-minute activation warm up, it's a good mix of weights and cardio and stretch and all kinds of things. And then you guys will notice it uses different power loops. So it's actually not the loops we use for 80-day obsession. It's going to be these different thicker loops that I may have them show you in a minute, actually. And then
Carrie, do you have yours?
Yeah.
Yeah, grab mine.
We'll show you that stuff. And then the dumbbells, and we're going to talk about lifting heavy and stuff like that. And then I will say that they said the foam roller was definitely like so needed for sure. So what I want to do, well, actually, Carrie, will you show them that band right now?
Yeah.
Not big.
See my screen? I don't know if I'm talking, if you guys can see. Yeah. Okay. So there's a gray one and a black one, and super thick and durable, so they don't roll, and they're fabric, but they have little rubber grippers on the inside. So we use these almost every workout, would you say, Sarah, as far as I can remember?
Yeah, just about every. There's maybe a handful that we didn't, but almost every day you got them out in some form or fashion.
Yeah, so we would use these as like the activation part of the workout, and sometimes during different sections, but it would warm up the glutes and get your body ready for all that it was about to do.
We used them for shoulder activation a little bit early on. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
We did. So you pretty much use them for everything, and they legitly, girls, they don't slide. Like they stick to your thighs, and you can focus on doing your move and not like, oh, my band rolled up, hold on, or I can't get it on. Like they go on and they don't move.
Yeah, and they're not uncomfortable. They're not like cutting in, you know?
No.
Yeah, so I was excited about those.
Nice. Well, that's awesome. I know, first off, it's like, I want you guys to know those bands matter. Like you want the thick bands, right? Like not to use like the 80-day bands.
And I have to admit, when I got them in the mail, I was a little like, oh my God, what are these? Like they were a little shocking, but they're awesome.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, before I kick the girls off into a Q&A, we want to start by showing you their killer results, okay? I'm so excited. Okay, so these are Sarah's results.
I hope my inner tube is good.
Sarah is nurse, a full-time grad school student. She just got out of class like 2 minutes ago. A mom of 2, and she has a 1-year-old, so it's not like her kids are, like, she is a busy woman, 9 pounds, 8.75 inches overall. She's looking good. She's feeling good. Like, I'm just going to blow her up right here. Like, you can see her abs. Like, you can see those abs popping out. The shoulders, like the shoulder difference, the leg muscles. I'm so incredibly proud of her. Like, blown away, right? Then here's Carrie. Carrie also works full-time. She's a medical coder. She works full-time from home, manages 2 kids. They're 7 and 2, 3.
3, yeah.
7 and 3. She also lost 9 pounds, which I think is so interesting. You guys both lost the same amount of weight. Both lost 9 pounds and 6 inches overall. And the same thing. What I noticed like the most in these girls is like their stomach. Like look at their abs popping out. You can tell it's like so crazy amazing. We're so proud of you guys. This is so huge. And ladies, if we, with the images that we're sharing tonight and the images that we're popping in the team page, is the rest of the team open to using your pictures?
Oh yeah, by all means.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, girls, like feel free to take their pictures, share them, like share this to stories, share this in your post, just tag them, you know, or anything like that. But I'm like so incredibly proud. And then here is what when they were sending me these pictures, I wanted you guys to see what I noticed here. And then I'm going to turn it over to them and to talk. I love seeing it the side by side in the back, because if you'll notice things like, I keep hearing these ladies talk about how it's changing their posture. And like, look at their shoulders on both sides. Like they started like this, and now you can see like their posture is getting better. The way that they're carrying themselves is actually like higher and elongated. And then obviously you can see all the toning, but I just thought that was so interesting to take a look at the way that their posture is and just the way that they're carrying themselves. It really is more than just, oh, go lift weights, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I just thought that was so amazing to see the difference there. So what I'm going to do now, let me stop sharing my screen. Sorry, one sec. I lost you guys when I stopped. There we go. What I'm going to do now is actually ask them questions. So it's up to you if you want it in full mode, or if you want to put it in speaker mode. I'll try and mute myself while they answer. But whichever of the two of you wants to answer first. Here's my first question. What surprised you about this workout program?
Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind is how well-rounded the program was, because I was expecting it to be like balls to the wall, just insane. And there are moments of that, but there's also this approach of like, it's a holistic wellness. And so I was surprised at how he encouraged like rest and drinking a gallon of water and don't overdo it. And it was a lot, I don't want to say tamer, but it was like he meets you where you're at and then pushes you. So it wasn't this thing that I felt totally defeated by. I was more felt like, okay, I can do this, Yeah,
I agree. I feel like I was expecting like the works. I was expecting him to come out yelling and coaching us right away. And I feel like he was really worried about like our mental health and where we were at, like making sure we get enough sleep, make sure we're eating properly, finding a good balance in life. I feel like, particularly because when you really get into it, the warm up, it's 10 minutes, period. Like most of our programs, I did a different one today, 2 minutes, right? Like get your heart rate up and get going. And I feel like with this one, you spend 10 minutes warming up. So by the time you got into the work, like you weren't having those moments of defeat because you can't catch your breath or those things, and you were really eased into it and ready to like hit the ground running.
I love that. That's so good to know, because I think we kind of expect the Amalo that we know, I think
Right.
That's awesome. So what did you find was the hardest part? And I'm gonna use the word part. So it could be a move, it could be anything, like the time, whatever it is. What do you think was the hardest part of these 13 weeks for you?
Yeah.
I think for me, I'm gonna speak out. I think it was the committing to 13 weeks. That's a long time. It's 90 days, it's 3 months. We went through multiple holidays. We went through, graduation, life events. Like we went through a lot of things in 13 weeks. And so to have those great results and go through all of those things, I think that for me was really hard. I don't know, but Carrie can speak to that, but that was super hard.
Yeah. We had like at times family in town for 3 weeks. So it's like, I knew some of my progress suffered as far as nutrition or whatever, but it was the biggest commitment that I've ever made to a program besides P90X, like pre-wedding. And that was, okay, I got to get my butt in shape for my wedding. And this was that same caliber, but just for daily living. And I realized like, I'm proud of myself in that I want to take care of myself every day now, versus I have a wedding that I need to get skinnier for. The motivation is different. So I can see the 13 weeks though I felt it, but in some ways it also feels like, okay, it went by fast. I don't know.
Did. And I think the other thing that was hard to get used to were 45-minute workouts. I have always been like 30 minutes or less. I only have 30 minutes. I don't want any more than that. So trying to like, I don't even think anything of it now, but those first couple of weeks I was like, oh, I need to like, find that time in my life, that extra 15 minutes. But it was worth it. It's worth it. Find the 15 minutes.
Yeah. Another thing that was hard for me was not skipping the Wednesday, which is the mobility and stability day. It's stretching, it's breathing. And some days I would, if I skipped it or if I skipped a day, it was going to be that day. And he was like, don't skip these days because you really do need it. It's right in the middle of the week. And so sometimes that was hard for me to take the time to recover. But when I did, so much better.
And I think that day really, like, I wasn't really sore much aside from like the last week through this entire program. And I really think that mobility day was really key to that, because you really like, you spend that day truly working the joints and muscles that typically hurt you when you're working out.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And I have a kind of follow-up question with what you guys were saying, kind of 2 follow-up questions that have to do with what you just shared. The first thing is, okay, so what helped you stay committed to those 13 weeks? Like what kind of pushed you to finish? That's gonna be my first question. And then I have like a B to my A. So what kind of helped you stay committed?
Well, it was nice doing it with Carrie.
It was.
Having a friend. Okay.
It was nice having a face.
That's what we do.
Yeah. And Sarah, you're like early morning bird. And so I would see Sarah's workouts and I hadn't done my workout yet. And I was like, oh crap, that's what we're doing today. Get my butt kicked. But it was really nice to have a partner in crime, somebody to do that with. And then the accountability on the Facebook group was really cool. But I think also, even if we didn't have that, it's just like in my mind, I committed at the beginning of I'm going all in and I'm going to do this. And yeah, so I think that mindset is needed for 13 weeks. It's a commitment.
And I think the other thing that really got me was that like after the first week, like at one point I was like throwing 20 or 25 pounds over my head. Like I'd never lifted weights that high. And I was like, oh my God, I wonder how heavy I can get. Like, because it just becomes so addictive that like bettering yourself each week, or like you could literally see the moves progressing week to week to be like, oh, okay, though this week we're adding weight to it. Got it. Like, so that was kind of, for me, I have kind of that kind of personality. I don't know, that for me, I saw that increase each week or.
Yeah.
I love that. That's really helpful to hear. And then my second part to that question, you guys both shared that like the 45-minute thing was a little bit harder to get used to in the beginning. How did you both work that into your schedules? Like, what did that look like for you as working women, as moms, as wives, as obviously you guys have friends and a life and things like that. So what kind of, like, when did you do your workout? What did kind of that routine look like for you? And if you missed it, kind of what was that goal, or kind of share a little bit on that how and when you made it happen.
I work out at 4 a.m. So
Really?
I used to get up at 4:30. Now I get up at like 4 to 4:15. And I honestly couldn't energize every morning.
Yeah.
And I will say if I missed my morning one, I would typically try to get it in like as soon as I got home from work, because otherwise I think I would be too tired later.
Yeah, I am not a morning early bird, but I want to be, but sometimes I would work out early, but often it would be put Oliver down for a nap and take some Energize and crank it out. It just kind of depends on my day. So that's something that I'm still working on, is finding a time where I can just knock out a workout. But it's whenever I can make it happen. I made it happen. And sometimes it was in the evening.
Oh, I love that. And sometimes you did it with your son in the room, right?
Oh, yeah. Or yeah, he would be playing with me and he would start doing his weights and he would say koala's funny. He called him koala, not Amwala. But they like know Amwala. It's pretty cute. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's so helpful to hear. Well, speaking of Amala, okay, what is he like in this specific program? And I don't think either of you had done the work or the prep, but from what you've seen and heard, or some of the samples that you've tried there, how do you feel like this is different than that? Because I feel like a lot of us are coming into this just expecting it to be like kind of like that. Can you kind of talk about his personality?
So
and what
I
he's
can
like?
remember calling Whitney and whining that I didn't want to do this program because I'm afraid of him. And I was like, of all people, like, why him? Why can't it be anybody else? I'm afraid of him. My husband did the works, and I would listen to him work out, and I'm like, oh God, I don't want to do that. But he is nothing like that in this program. I mean, on our end, though, I will tell you, we were getting B-roll videos where he was literally like in his garage, dancing, singing. At one point, he was setting my multiple times. He would set my Alexa off with his singing or turning up his radio. It was crazy. But he was very genuine and very like educational. He really went into teaching mode a lot. So there was a lot of just education and slowing things down, and like really, like Carrie said earlier, me really meeting you where you are. There, it really wasn't until this challenge week, the week 14, the last week, that he truly like busted out his coaching voice. I felt like.
Yeah. It felt very personal. Like you had a personal trainer that was like not just textbook. He was a real human, and he would talk about his life. And I love those parts. Like he would talk about how he got his name and about his family, and they're making jokes with the people, you know, working out. So it felt like you were in the garage. You felt like you were there. Really funny, super handsome, you know, that's a plus.
Singing and dancing, and being ashy. His knees were ashy every day.
Yeah.
We had to get a knee saga every day.
Yeah. So I would say you feel his warm personality. I feel like it translates on the screen to where he's one of my favorite trainers now. And it seems like you can feel that in the filming. I don't know what it'll be like professional filming and on the set, but I really
did the sample, like literally how he was in the sample, kind of singing and dancing around and giving people a hard time and making fun of people. Like that's how the entire program was.
Yeah, I hope he'll keep that up, like the whole part. But, really educational, like you were saying, Sarah, teaching you about your hip flexors and like why certain positionings cause injury, and women are more prone to squat with their knees out, which can lead to tears in your is it not TLC? Why am I ACL? It's some acronym. But I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Like he teaches you all these different parts about your fitness and your form that you feel empowered, and you know, we'll always know after.
And he was really good about being like, if you can't do this, if you can't move this way, here's how I want you to do it. Let me show you. So that was really great too, that like if you didn't have the hip flexibility or the shoulder flexibility or strength, like he didn't make you feel bad about it. It was like, all right, cool, you're gonna do it this way then.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's really, I love that. When we're taught things, I feel like we become better athletes, but we also become better coaches to our challengers, the people we're leading. I think that's really helpful. So that's cool. Okay. What supplements did you guys use, and what do you feel is like, okay, as you're getting people started, this is what they need, like Shakeology, Energize, Recover, Power Greens. Like when you kind of look at the list of things that we have available to us, what do you feel like your body needed, and what you're going to recommend to your people that do it again with you?
I used Energize just about every day. I think the only day I didn't use it was a mobility day.
Yeah.
I did not use my Recover every day. I used it on, I feel like the total body days. I don't know about you, Carrie, but I used it on the total body days. I feel like more than anything, because that was a more like, and then I use Shakeology every day because I do.
Yeah. I used Recover probably a little bit more than you did, just because I felt like it helped. I was sore throughout the 13 weeks. So I wouldn't take it on like the Recover days, but I would take Recover after like a heavy lifting day or even cardio days, just to kind of get back to that normal state. And that seemed to help. So I would encourage, like I'm going to be encouraging people that are signing up to get the Performance Pack and the Shakeology. So do the deluxe, because it really is helpful for this program. You'll have the Energize if you're doing early morning workouts, and then the after to just help your body heal.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful because I feel like different programs, like for the dance workout, I didn't necessarily find myself using recover a lot. So we have to kind of retrain our brain. It's like, okay, this is lifting and cardio, and you're going to be putting your body in positions you aren't used to. So I love that. I would like to share my screen again. And these ladies have put together a couple. Oh, look, it's asking for me to rate Canva. The ladies put together just a couple videos here. And so I'm just going to click through them and show you them. 1 second. I got to move our picture. All right. You may hear words in hers. I didn't mute it. Sorry. But Carrie, do you want to speak to these videos right now? I don't know if you with your video. Sorry.
Yeah, the first one is called the clamshell, which we do throughout the program. And sometimes he adds weights to it. Sometimes we have a band on our thighs. And after a little bit, like at first, it doesn't seem that difficult. And your butt and your thighs are burning. Like he does a ton of butt. You're going to get a butt doing this program. He does a ton.
Yam season.
Yeah, yam season. Oh, he has all these phrases that he says. It's like an inside joke if you do the program. Yam season. So definitely had some booty gains from all of the different things. And that was one. And you lift heavy. I think I had 30 or 40 pound weights in the middle video. So yeah, you lift way more than you think you can. So
I love that. I love that. And we've got some for Sarah too. They were her Instagram videos, but Sarah, will you kind of describe these to
Yeah.
To us as well?
So the first one, where I'm in the pink sports bra, that if you watch the whole thing through, so it's the same move through the entire program. So that first one was early on, and that was kind of midway, and I think I have 30s there.
Go, Sarah.
Yeah, and then it'll go, and then I took it outside, and then we added overhead. So everything kind of progresses like I was talking about earlier. So that's a progression of it. And then it progresses one more time to where, give it a second, where we're literally like jumping in the air. Oh, there it is. So you do that, and then you jump.
Yeah.
So yeah, so there's that. So it was just kind of an example of how things like progress through the entire program from beginning to end. That was like one of the last weeks. And then the middle one, I don't know if you can see it very well. So this is the first week where you do those clamshells. It might have been the third week where you do the clamshells with the band. So that's how you start with clamshells. And then by the end, it's similar to Carrie's video where you have a weight and you're throwing a weight up in the air with your clamshell. So that's cool. And then this one, so this starts out, he gets your foam roller, like incline row, like get up on your foam roller. We're going to do presses from your foam roller. And then that was just a progression of the weight, but that's one that we did throughout the entire program also, that each phase. And then this was like a tempo day, or it's kind of like Mwala says, and he counts how slowly you should be going or how fast you should be going, or when to throw your weight up in the air or when to move. So that's just kind of an example of one of the other moves I thought was kind of unique to the program. So you need a foam roller. You must have a foam roller.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah, so they were fun.
Whitney, you're muted.
Oh yeah, you're muted, Whit.
Whoops. There we go. I'm back. All I said was, oh, I thought I was muted because I know. Losing it. Please see this note in the chat that Five Below has foam rollers right now. So especially for your your challengers, or if you guys don't have one, a foam roller is a really good investment.
If you're a coach, I feel like that would be a really great like incentive. Like, hey, if you sign up for this program, I'll get you a foam roller.
Yeah.
That's a really
Particularly if Five Below has them.
Yeah. I know. I thought about that, Sarah, because of the sometimes we'd have coaches come on in our group, 645 group, and they'd give tips and different things. And she mentioned that, and I was like, foam rollers are $15+. I don't think I'll be doing that. But if they're $5 or something, yeah, that's a great idea.
Or you can be like, do you live near Five Below? I'm going to send you a $10 or a $5 gift card. You can go get your own.
There you go.
Yeah. Nail it, because mailing it might cost.
There you go. Perfect.
there's our tip. That's awesome. That's a great tip. All right, let's ask 2 more questions and then we're going to open it up if anybody else wants to ask questions. But we actually even answered some that we had. But another big question, 13 weeks long, how did this affect you or how are you different mentally, if that makes sense?
I feel like I realized that I'm a lot stronger than what I ever really knew I was. I mean, I just did 9-week control freak before this and I thought I was really strong. And then I was never one to like, oh, I'm never gonna, press 20 pounds or I'm never gonna, I don't know, any of the things I did with a lot of weight. Like I never thought and every week he'd really encourage you, like pick a weight, go 2 pounds heavier, go 5 pounds heavier, like try something heavier. And I feel like for me, like I really learned to trust my body more, that like I knew where my limits are and I knew if I was pushing too hard so yeah, for me, it was really learning how to like learn about my body and where I was at, which I thought was really helpful. And I'm a year postpartum, like exactly a year postpartum. So for me, it was really encouraging just to be able to see those gains after, really having a hard year on my body.
Yeah. It's amazing. I would say that I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but the longest program that I ever did was P90X, and that was 2008. And I, in my mind, thought like I had enough motivation for a wedding, but that was like pre-wedding Carrie, and I would never have that kind of motivation again. So I think showing me that like my best days aren't behind me and that I'm capable of a lot more and can endure a lot more. Like you were saying, Sarah, to lift is really empowering. And especially as a woman, I just love feeling strong. And this program helped me get there. And I'm excited to do it again because yeah, you're capable of a lot more than you think. And this showed me that. There's longer workouts, 13 freaking weeks.
And I don't know if you can speak to this too, Carrie, but I feel like typically when you finish a program, you're like, oh my God, my body, like, I just need a minute to relax. Like, and I feel strong. And I feel like probably I'm 37 and I probably feel the best I think I've felt since college, like physically.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel the best since 2008, 2009 when I got married. And then I got married and I didn't work out for months. And, it's like, I'm a different person and I'm much older, but feel the best that I have. So it's pretty cool.
I love that. And I think it's a huge testament too, to both of you, because you wouldn't have felt that way if you quit after 3 weeks or if you took 20 weeks to do a 13-week program, like we're just really proud of you. Like as a group of women here listening to your story, like we're so proud of you. And it's so inspiring to us. Like I listen to you talk and I'm like, I want that too. Oh my gosh. Like, cause we all know that feeling, whether we've completed programs before, had that season in our life where we've just had these great wins. And obviously the wins take some struggle to get there, but it's really exciting and really inspiring to hear. Is there anything else that you have on your mind that you want to share with us? As the girls, maybe ladies who are on the call, if you want to drop any questions that we didn't cover in the chat, go ahead and start throwing them in the chat and I can say them out loud. But Carrie, is there anything that we didn't talk about today that you're like, oh, I want to make sure you guys know this?
The only thing I would say is as you're sharing it with other people, don't like it's for everybody. And I feel like I was scared away when I first started this, when I watched like his Instagrams and I was like, oh geez, but it really is like he meets you where you're at. And so it's for everybody and everyone can find their own, like the phrase is reach your peak, everyone can find their own. So that's something that I learned through this program. And the other is just like learning what happens outside of the workout, like getting enough sleep and drinking enough water. So because he told us to start drinking a gallon of water, that's what I do now. And I don't know, I think those things are just as important.
Yeah, I love that. What about you, Sarah? Is there anything that you thought, I want to make sure that they know this?
I want you to make sure, no, it's nothing like the works. I think that was really, I don't know, I think like the first 2 weeks in our little like private group, like people were like all over him, like it's too slow, it doesn't move fast enough. But like everybody had done the works trying to get ready for this program, and you don't need to do that. You don't need to do the prep. You don't need any of that. Like Carrie said, he really meets you where you are. and it's really about building a good foundation. Like it's so foundational, at least the first 2 phases were so foundational, so that by that 3rd phase and by that like 4th challenge week, that you can really like do harder things and lift heavier because you're doing it with proper form. And he's really good about slowing down. Like I know, like I just, because I did the 9-week control freak, I feel like sometimes you work so fast and you're trying to get so many reps in that you lose your form. And he would slow it down so hard that you can't really lose your form. Like your form is so ingrained in your head that you know that like you could feel the minute your like foot would fly out or your hip would go the wrong direction, you'd be like, oh no, hold on, let me get that back in line. And even like, it was so empowering, like even like walking down the hallway some days at work, my body just feels so much stronger, even just walking, that I can feel like my posture is better. So I really feel like this program, not only is it about building strength, but it's really about recovering your body and really breaking bad habits and just creating new like muscle memory. So
on that note, one of the questions is, what do you say to people who are worried it's going to be too slow? Like,
just wait.
Like, what do you tell them? What do you say?
Just wait.
That's what he would say too. He's like, no, you want this slow right now.
But I do know that he did do a lot of bonus footage. There's a lot of bonus work. He brought in, I think, just about every other super trainer in the business in their company, and made a lot of bonus videos. And he said that all along. He's like, there'll be a bonus for this. There'll be a bonus for this. There'll be a bonus for that. So I think if you think it's too slow, then grab yourself some bonus work because it's there.
Cool. Yeah, that's really good to know. I didn't know that. That's awesome. Okay, another question. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to ask, when do you think it got like more intense, or like where in the 13 weeks do you feel like, wow, I feel like it really dialed up, or was it such a slow, easy progression? Like he worked you into it that you never were like, oh my gosh, this is really intense.
I feel like phase 2, I noticed that it was stepping up rather quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was around that time, like week, what would that be, like week 4 or 5?
I think it was week 5, like week 5,
yeah.
end of week 5, I was like, oh, you ain't messing around anymore.
Yeah. Started picking up the heavier weights and stuff, but never felt like I was in over my head. It was just like, okay, I'm being pushed to the next level, but never to where I was injuring myself or feeling like I was pushing myself too far.
And then did you feel like you were getting results in those first 2 weeks when you may have said it felt slower?
Yeah.
I think so. Like when I look back on like the pictures and videos now, I feel like I saw more arm definition pretty early on.
Yeah.
And my butt.
Well, and that's maybe the difference between weightlifting and training versus a cardio, 9-week control freak. If you're just coming out of that, we have the 12 minutes of like craziness and it's over fast, it's going to be different pace, but there's also a lot to be gained from the, checking your form and going slow and controlled. And so
I feel like I remember feeling like the first 4 weeks were like being at the gym. Like if you were going to go to the gym and lift, this is what you're going to feel like.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. That's helpful. Another question in the chat is about deload week. How is that? That's what Larissa asked.
Yeah, I mean, you would do less reps, but you would do heavier weight. And that was kind of fun to see, like, I don't know. I was surprised at how I could lift more. So I don't know, Sarah, if you have any other.
So deload week was confusing to me. When we first started, I thought deload week was like, oh, you let go of your weights and we're just doing this all with your body weight. Like you're not putting any weights on. And I will tell you, it is the week you lift the heaviest.
It's less reps, but it's heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like it's deload week. So each week, so I should say every other week other than deload week, it's 15 reps, 3 rounds, like 3 sets, 3 rounds, something like that, something along those lines, depending on the day. Deload week is like 2 rounds, 2 sets,
10 reps.
10 reps. Yeah. So it was a much slower, it's like a deload and the slow down of the energy level, not so much the like how heavy you're lifting.
Mm-hmm.
Or not heavy, like how much you're lifting, just slower.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Did that come out in English?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's helpful. And Dara, did you have another question? Go for it.
Do you mind? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I know I was late. So did you talk about the intermittent fasting component? I'm wondering how you plan to talk about that? Sorry. Okay.
So,
No, we didn't yet. We haven't talked about nutrition.
So we weren't given too much information about the intermittent fasting. Amwala talked about it a lot because that is what he does. He does the 16 and 8. He eats an 8-hour block. He fasts for 16 hours. I can tell you that Energize does not break your fast. He did tell us that. So you can do your Energize. Anything over 15 calories is technically what breaks your fast. And that was kind of all they gave us, right, Carrie? Did I miss it? I mean, that was kind of all we know.
Yeah.
Anytime people asked, he was like, oh, there's a book. Autumn's gonna let you know what's coming. So that's kind of.
I will say the time that I noticed the most results as far as weight loss for me was when I was intermittent fasting and doing more of like the to be mindset, dinner and done. And yeah, and I wasn't doing, I dropped sugar and alcohol and that dropped some weight pretty quick. So that'll do it. And yeah, but that was part of like during this workout. So I was still doing intermittent fasting and gaining muscle and not fatiguing my muscles. So it is possible to do it.
And honestly, when we first started this program, anytime we met with Amwala and he talked about the diet thing, he was like, we're hoping Carl will let us do it. He was real vague about it for a long time. It wasn't until probably like it was announced that he would talk about it more with us. So they kind of kept that hush hush that was coming. I felt like, I don't know if Carrie, do you agree?
Yeah, I don't remember a lot of information about the fasting at all.
Yeah, we were only asked to either pick 2B or ultimate portion fix when we started. So
that's what I was gonna say. If they asked you to like path and then like commit to that, so you could have solid to coach people, the depth that they went, like you felt you other women through that IF component, like, but it seems like it was such a purpose thing. They didn't like really dive. Okay, thanks.
Sorry.
Okay.
I love the chat right now. Shattering ceilings, changing things up. We'll take it. We'll take it. Any other questions?
The other thing that Amwala kind of talked about, the same thing kind of with intermittent fasting, he hinted at that. He was like, hey, Carl, we should really sell a foam roller. We need, like, he was always like making little like comments along the lines, or hey, we need lacrosse balls. Like, yeah, a lot of cough.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. We love it. We're excited.
Also, I will say I loved in the B-roll film that Bree, she's like an admin for Beachbody. She's not one of the ones on the film, but she was in the workouts and she was not the modification. It was the guy that was doing all the modifications. And I was like, yes, this is great. She was doing all the heavy lifting. So I liked that.
I love it. That's the best. Larissa, go for it.
Okay, this is the weirdest question ever. But you guys know how in MBF you could hear everyone talking all the time? Like all the time, and sometimes it was like really annoying. I noticed that a little bit in the sample workout. Is it like that in the workouts? Like, can you kind of hear the cast? Like, you hear them talking a lot, or is it mostly Amwala and music? Like, fill me in just so I can mentally prepare myself.
So we only got B-roll. We literally from his garage or from the Beachbody garage.
Yeah, I didn't mind it because I liked the conversations that they would have and they would make fun of each other or whatever, or it just felt like more human. But I will say I struggled in like 21 Day Fix real time. The chatty guys in the back, I was like, they need to stop talking. So it just kind of depends on like what personality, drives you crazy or whatnot. So
I think it's more when they have mics. Like that's what I'm not like but I know they did that in the work, so they might do it here too. I was just curious, just so I could all right, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? You're welcome just to unmute and ask.
So I'll just ask a quick question. You pretty much answered it, but I know he said a lot of it is focuses on form. And it sounds like primarily he just keeps you slow so that you're not going too fast and messes up your form. But I thought, how is he going to fix my form if he can't see me and if I don't know if my form's wrong? Like, how did that feel?
So there's tests. There's a squat test. There's a hip test. There's some shoulder tests. So there's some tests that are going to kind of similar to the works, some other programs where you had to do like a fit test before you start. There's going to be tests that like, hey, if your hips move this way, then you need to be doing this. If this happens to you when you do this, then you need to be doing this. So he really does, the early parts of it should have those tests attached to it.
And I know sometimes for lifting workouts, I will always encourage my people to work out in front of a mirror and even like go to Walmart and get like the $10 one that you had in your college dorm, like anything to put down in that space so that you can watch yourself. I'm assuming that would probably be really helpful for a program like this.
And did you feel, sorry, one more, because this the old lady in the group, I'm 50, so these things matter to me. Did you feel like you had kind of aches and pains that you typically get when you work hard that maybe got corrected? And if you didn't, that's fine. Like, I'm just curious because I definitely have like a glute that always, I have to be careful with it. It bugs me. I have to really pay attention to it. It'd be great if I figured that I was doing something wrong and he was able to correct it a little bit. Just curious if you hit any of that at all. Mm-hmm. If you didn't, it's fine because you're probably too young to have injuries, but.
I have like a lower right back pain that can get, like I felt it when I was doing 30-day breakaway, and kind of the move you did, Sarah, that you showed where you squat with weights was where I like triggered my back and had to roll it out and everything and give it a break. And there's a move similar like that in 645, and he guides you on like not lifting too heavy. So it was getting a little sore, but I also was developing a core that I'd never had before. So there's that component that helped. And all of the stretching, I never injured myself to where I needed to like take days off this time, because he teaches you about your alignment and mobility of your hips. And if you can't, like Sarah was saying, if you can't move a certain way, he teaches you how to stretch that out. Like, it's just, I had never done the stretches that he was teaching us. And I think they are key to preventing injury.
I think too, for me, coming off a 9-week control freak, my one shoulder was like killing me. And I was really nervous to start. And I can tell you my shoulder never bothered me. And we were lifting through this whole one. And I think also I have an old college injury in my ankle that typically bothers me anytime I do squats, anything like that. And he really like taught us how to like, if you can't dorsiflex your foot, here's where you need to be rolling your ankle. Here's where you need to use that roller. So I really think he really taught you how to fix those areas. It will fix you.
That's awesome. Any other questions as we wrap things up? Well, this was so helpful, Carrie and Sarah. Like, thank you for your time. I know like it's such a gift for us as your team to be able to have people that have already been through such a huge program like this, because not only do you have the results that we get to help show people, but just this knowledge is really helpful for us. So thank you. We're really proud of you for earning this. I think I said it at the beginning, I want to say it again. Both of them earned this spot in this 13-week test group by being success starters. They came into the business. They both hit diamond during this. Like, it was an amazing journey for them. And we're so proud of you. And we're just so grateful for you guys for taking your time tonight to share with us, because we want to get on the hype train with you guys. So thank you so much. And I'm sure that they would both say, if any of you guys have questions, shoot them messages anytime. Like they said in the beginning, you guys are welcome to use their pictures. We'll make sure they're in Heart Hustle Muscle. But anything you guys want to say as we wrap things up?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Well, everyone in the chat is saying thank you. We're so incredibly proud of you. And yeah, let's go have a great launch week next week, guys. All right. Well, have a good night. We'll see ya.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.